My name is Snyder. I'm from Jackson, Ohio. I have 3 years in recovery, and today I am a productive member of society, and some good things and some bad, I reckon, still.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. If you could start off by sharing a bit about your childhood.
My childhood, I grew up here in Jackson, and we were have a twin brother and an older brother, and we grew up on a gravel road out in the country. We were pretty poor. We didn't have running water or anything like that, and so we played in the woods and grew our food, and hunted and fished and all that good stuff. And but was from a loving family, and I miss it a lot, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We're real close to your brothers?
Yeah. I have a twin brother, and then my older brother, 2 years older. Yeah.
Okay. Could you talk about when you first started experimenting with any substances and kind of what that did for you?
Yeah, it was early, probably 10. By 10 years old, I'd been drinking and stuff like that. My dad was an alcoholic, and so he was always drinking, and so we would go and steal beer out of the cooler, because we thought it was cool or whatever. So it tasted horrible, and got a little felt a little different from it, and made each other laugh and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So how did your disease really take off?
Well, it took off. I've always been a person that'll do anything for a laugh, and so so in middle school, that's when I really started getting in trouble and experimenting with pills and weed and stuff like that, and booze. I would go and steal some Mad Dog or whatever, and then get down on the tracks and drink it. So let me see. So my son was born when I was 18, and I wasn't in a good spot, so I just kept partying and drinking, and was really selfish. And then I had a daughter. My oldest daughter was born just 2 days before my 21st birthday, and again I was selfish, so I just I was turning 21, so I thought that was something more to celebrate than having another kid and actually stepping up. But then at that point I was doing a lot of pain pills. That was right before the Oxycontin hit real hard down here. So it was about the end of 2001. I moved up to the Dayton area, and then I was just sober for 6 years. Quit drinking, quit doing everything, and really had no withdrawals or anything like that. And I think it was because I wanted to be with my family more than I wanted to be out of in the ditch or whatever.
Right.
And so
so pretty good life at that time?
Yeah, everything was real good. Yeah, it was maybe one of the happiest times of my life. And my brothers, my twin brother moved up there, and he got sober, and then my older brother moved up, he got sober, and everything was good. We were framing houses and working together on the same crew, and everything was real good then. And then around 2008, that's when I started doing stand-up comedy, and then I loved it. I was like, oh, this is what I was made to do,
Yeah.
And then so and that was actually one of the first times that I had ever been. I remember thinking this is just being proud of myself for doing something. I felt like I was doing something that I was meant to do, and the comedy took off really well, and so I did that for a while, and then
like doing gigs and that type of stuff?
Yeah, doing gigs, and I was just getting a good response from people, and I was pretty much just telling. What I still do is I just pretty much tell stories, similar to what we're doing here, just ornery stories when I'm getting in trouble and things like that. And it seems like people can relate to that, because most people have, if they haven't been an addict or an alcoholic or something like that, there's usually certainly somebody in the direct family that they can So you're like my Uncle Fred, or or you're just like me, or something like that. When I started doing stand-up, I was sober. I wasn't drinking or anything. And then as I got out on the road a little bit more, you get there, it's free booze and free food and free hotel and free rides and all that. So it's really built to where you're like, I'm out of town, why not get drunk? I've got a ride, I've got a place to stay, it's free, all that, so you can't, That's how I was taking Adderall a lot, because I was drinking all night. I would drive all over the country, so I'd just take Adderall to keep me awake to drive back. And then I remember that I was, been drinking all night, and the next day I was out of Adderall, and I just felt absolutely horrible. I had a horrible hangover, and so I went down to my twin brother's. I knew he had been messing around with the meth and stuff, and so I went down there, and I was like, "Hey, you got any meth? I feel like, crap." And he's like, "Yes." And I remember hitting this meth pipe, and I specifically remember as I'm blowing the smoke out, I said to myself, like, "Oh, this is going to be a problem." So I went from doing, all these comedy shows on the road, near 40 weeks a year, to just, peddling, grams of meth around Jackson here in the town of 6,000. So I'm going from doing shows for thousands of people a year to selling meth in a town of 6,000. Everything started spiraling out of control. I got pulled over and had a little bit of meth or a coke in my pocket, and I had forgotten about it because this highway patrol came up my ass out of nowhere, and so for whatever reason I forgot that it was in my pocket, and also by then I had lost my license, and so when he says license and registration, I'm like, yeah, I can't help you there. And so he pulls me out, and he's like, "You got anything on you?" And I'm like, "No." And then he starts patting me down, and he feels something on my, and then we realized that I had it at the same time. And I was like, son of a bitch. And so he pulls it out, and it's probably a half a gram or something, and he's like, "Well, what is this?" And I'm like, "It's coke." And he's like, "You sure it's not fentanyl?" I was like, "It's coke." He's like, "You sure it's not fentanyl?" I said, I'm positive it's not fentanyl." And he's like, "How?" I said, "Because I've been sniffing it all day. I know it's not fentanyl." And so, they give me treatment and 5 years probation and all that stuff. So I've been sober. July 16th was 3 years, and got all my fines paid off now. Got my license back. Not my driving license, but I can fish anywhere in the state. No, I got my driver's license back, and everything's going pretty good. I'm doing comedy again. And before I left treatment, I was calling my twin brother, and I was saying, "Hey, are you familiar with the mobile patrol app?" Mm-hmm. So when I was in rehab, I was always just constantly checking this mobile patrol app to see if my brothers were in jail, and it got to be a habit. And I still check it every morning now, and whatever. So I was about a week from getting out, and I'm calling my brother and saying, "Hey man, why don't you go to rehab and this and that?" And so I'm trying to get him back into rehab, whatever. And then I wake up that morning like 4 o'clock in the morning, and just roll over and check my phone. I sent him a message on Messenger. I said, "Hey, how you going? I'm just worried about you, making sure you're all right." And he sends me a message back. "Yeah, I'm good. Just up here. He was just a couple hundred yards from my house." And he said, "I'm just kind of pilfering through the attic, So I knew that they were, whacked out on meth and just, digging through boxes of trinkets. And so it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. At 7 o'clock in the morning, one of my dad's best friends was beating on the door, and he's like, "Hey, Jared's, he's down with Narcan. I can't get anything out of him." And so right behind my house there's a creek, and so I can see the house. It's just right there. It's 200 yards from my house. And he's like, "The ambulance just got there, and I'm out of a dead sleep." And I'm like, "So," I was like, what do I do?" And he's like, call the cops, and he said they're up there to see what's going on. So I called the police station, and I said, "Yeah, this is Jay Snyder. Someone just told me you're working on my brother. I'm just wondering what's going on with him." And they said, "Well, they're leaving with him now." And then so I walked to the back door and I look, and I don't hear any sirens. That's how I know he's gone. And then maybe 3 minutes later, my sister-in-law calls me, and she's screaming, and she's like, he's dead. And so so I lost my twin brother. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So
it's tough, and the thing that really just sucks about this is it is a deadly disease, and you just don't know what you're getting sometimes, and it just sucks. I mean, it does all around.
Yeah, it's just horrible, and it's I don't know. It's just something that I'm still getting used to. So that was April 21st was 2 years. So we're around 2.5 years or whatever, and so he's got 5 boys, and there 4 of them are grown men now, and my nephew Gavin, he's the youngest one. He just turned 16, and it's just horrible. It just you don't know what to do. It's not something I've ever dealt with, so I've I mean that was absolutely horrible, and it was maybe the worst day of my life. But then I had to drive up to Chillicothe and tell my mom, which was even worse. But and something that I've learned in my sobriety is that the drugs, the booze and drugs and everything, they numb the pain and all that stuff, but they also numb the happiness. So you're not you're not really feeling your total happiness, and it's so you just shit happens to everybody, and so how you deal with it, it's I don't know, but I think a benefit that I had, or maybe a benefit that I tell myself, is that in 3-4 short years I pissed everything away that I had and worked a lot of years for, and so it was a 3-4 short years of addiction, but all that was gone, and luckily it was a short amount of time, because I've got a lot of friends that have been addicts for over 20 years, and and it's a lot harder to quit something after 20 years than it is 3 or 4. And so and also I with the comedy, I feeling like I'm doing what I was meant to do. I have that purpose. I feel like that to be sober, you have to find something that is important to you, something that is more important to you than getting high, and we've all got something, but we may not have found it yet, or whatever. So I definitely don't have any of it figured out. I just do it, whatever works for me. And so now I still go to counseling, but it's all voluntarily. It's not court ordered. I've all completed all the court ordered stuff, and so now my counselor Mandy, I'm sure, is here, and you'll probably meet her at some point throughout the day. And so now I'll just call her once I start getting aggravated or whatever. I'll just call her and say, hey, you got anything open next Thursday? And then I'll just go in and I'll bitch for an hour, and then and then I'm good for another month or 2 months or whatever it is.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, well, and finding those things that work for you. I mean, I think that's the one thing that we finally have realized, that recovery is not a one size fits all. So we got to find what works for you, and being able to really grab onto that and keep at it, because the life that you've built for yourself, I mean, is pretty incredible. And that sense of peace and genuine joy that you seem to really have, the ability to experience the plethora of emotions that we have. It sucks feeling sadness and whatnot, but being able to get through that, because on the other side, you have that ability to feel true happiness and joy.
Yeah, and it is a nice one. And if I'd have caught a 5-pounder this morning, man, I tell you, but no, everything's good. And me and my girlfriend, we go go to these shows all the time, and you know, she loves it. And then we go fishing all the time, and then so this weekend don't have any shows or anything, so we're trying to figure out what what exactly we're going to do. So we'll probably go camping somewhere, and yeah. So now I do occasionally sneak into a pond here and there, but you know, I tell my probation officer about it, and he's not too concerned. You know, so but everything seems to be good, and yeah, I'm genuinely happy, and I've got good, healthy relationships now, and yeah, you know, try to help a little bit, and you know, minimize the damage. You know?
Absolutely. Well, you've got a lot to live for, and a lot to bring to the world. So your ability to tell a story is amazing, and the being able to bring some laughter and joy to people is, I mean, that's what makes the world worth living. So I really can't wait to see what else you get to do as probation lifts.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing a sober show here in a couple weeks at which I've never did. I've did a show sober,
right,
but never for like a recovery community or anything like that. And I still wonder if they know that it's not a clean show, that it's a sober show.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good market to get into. So, well, thank you again so much for coming out and joining us.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.